Hello, this is Telecom TV. We are reporting from Mobile World Congress 2016 here in Barcelona in Spain. I'm Martin Warwick and I'm talking with Eric Creviston, who is President Mobile Products at Qorvo, and with Todd Gillenwater, who is CTO and Vice President Engineering Mobile Products at Qorvo. Okay then, Eric, let's get into it. I'm going to ask you the first question. It's a new year. Another new year, obviously going to be a busy one, an exciting one for comms in general and mobile. In particular, there's been a lot of talk about new technologies like carrier aggregation being adopted. Tell us something about that. First of all, what is carrier aggregation? Why would it be adopted now rather than earlier? Is it something that's so new it couldn't have been done before? And there's some key trends you're seeing in the industry at the moment, from Qorvo's point of view.
Sure. So, first of all, it's about responding to the tremendous growth in demand for mobile data. Applications continue to come up which demand more and more data, faster pace, lower latency. Video streaming is becoming very popular now, and not just from one source to many people, like all of us going to YouTube, but now a lot of us are generating video and uploading it and sending it to various places. Apps like Periscope, for example, are very taxing on the mobile infrastructure, as you can imagine. So as we're at one time racing to add the next billion users to LTE, we're actually trying to deliver better service and more continuous service to all the users that are currently on LTE. And carrier aggregation is a great way to do that. It basically lets the phone or the handset work on multiple frequencies at the same time. So the carriers are being aggregated, put together in the phone, and you can get higher and higher download speeds, and eventually even upload will work on carrier aggregation as well.
Thank you. Are there any other trends that you're particularly noticing or that Qorvo is particularly involved in?
One of the other key trends is a move towards fewer SKUs or fewer model numbers from our customers. The handsets are very complex to develop. They cost a lot of money, take a lot of time, and you need to release as few models as possible and have it cover as much of the world as possible. And what that means is you put a lot more frequency bands in each phone. So the RF section of the phone is getting very complicated, adding a lot of bands. And when you add carrier aggregation on top of that, it becomes incredibly complex for the customers to get these products to market.
Because poor old RF is very much a Cinderella these days. You can't do anything without it. Working away there in the background, it doesn't usually get much direct attention, does it? But it's enormously important.
Yes, I think year over year you continue to see an increase of attention on RF because of this complexity that's being built in, and the fact that we are enabling so many new business models by enabling apps that have the video transfer and so forth. And so our job is to make it stay Cinderella, right? And continue to be the pretty girl at the ball. And so we're making it easier for customers to do this. We're integrating at higher levels into our modules so our customers can get to market faster.
Qorvo have a particular range of expertise in this new carrier aggregation technology?
Yes, one of the key technologies to allow it is called multiplexing, where you can take the signals from multiple antennas basically and take them through multiple filters and get them to the receive or transmit section appropriately without going through switching networks, so they're lower loss and higher performance. That really helps enable high performance multi-carrier carrier aggregation.
We've covered the sort of notion of what the challenges are. Are there any others apart from that? You've talked about Qorvo's expertise and what you can do in carrier aggregation. What's happening in the wider mobile industry itself? What are the challenges that you hear about more than anything else? It's
interesting to see a lot of people go into metal cases in their phones now. It used to be kind of a high-tier phone feature. Now it's going through a lot of the different parts of the portfolio. And when you're in the RF industry, metal is very hard to deal with, as you can imagine. So when the entire phone is cased in metal, it creates a lot of opportunities for us to help solve those challenges. And multiple tuning on the antennas, for example, is one way to help deal with that application. We have expertise in that area as well. Anything else that people come to you with and say, I'd really like it if you could do this for us? Or it's power consumption is always very high on the list. Yeah. That hasn't changed, right? And so Todd and his team are developing a lot of very specialized technologies to work on power consumption in the phone while dealing with all this complexity. Todd, you've been sat there patiently, but it is your turn now. You are going to get a question. What, Todd, are the key underlying technologies that is critical to new handsets being launched or developed today? You talk a bit about Qorvo's technology portfolio and how it supports customer requirements.
Sure. Carrier aggregation and all the band proliferation is driving a lot of new technology needs in the front ends and new capabilities, starting with power. You talked briefly about power a few minutes ago, but power consumption is very important. So we're seeing yet another evolution to envelope tracking. Envelope tracking, I think, has been the buzzword the last few years at this conference. But even this year, we're seeing the bandwidth of envelope tracker being required to go up 2x, and that way we can do 2-carrier uplink carrier aggregation. So I think Eric mentioned before about doing multi-carrier downlink when we're talking about receiving many signals. We're preparing for uplink carrier aggregation where the mobile handset will be transmitting 2 carriers uplink here in the near future. In addition to that, one of the big areas that carrier aggregation is driving is filters. The need for filters, higher Q in our filters, higher bandwidth. So we're seeing a big increase for BAW filters. I think Eric mentioned multiplexers, but we're seeing even the capabilities of the BAW filters being stretched. So we're having to go back and improve Q in our BAW filters. And I think we'll start to see some of our new filter technologies hit the market middle of this year. So we'll see very high Q BAW filters in the market to help enable some of these multiplexers going forward. And so as we look further into the front ends, the front end's getting more complex with all the different bands in them. So it requires many high orders of switches. So again, it goes back to power consumption by reducing the loss in the switches, the parasitics in the switches. But one other new requirement that's on us, again, because our carrier aggregation is linearity. We have to drastically improve our linearity, or we're going to interfere with some of these signals we're trying to receive on the downlink. I know it's pretty technical.
No, that's absolutely fine. The audience will understand. So why is it linearity? Why is it so utterly critical?
Linearity is very important. Whenever you receive a signal, you do not want to, when you jam yourself on the downlink. So you have an intermod product between the transmitter and the receiver, and you do not want to have that intermod product fall into the receive band until you literally jam yourself. So that's the reason why you need a very linear switch. And not only the switches, but also in the tuners, the antenna tuners. But the linearity of the systems are drastically improving, or requirements are drastically going up.
You're obviously mapping and reacting to these changes in the market as things go along. What about your customers themselves? Do they come to you and say, we really need this? Or do they know what they want? Or is it more of, look, the situation is getting so complex now, we have to change, we have to do this, that and the other?
It's changing. We used to wait for our customers to come tell us what we needed and what we needed to do. But today we are working with the carriers themselves as well as the standards bodies. We have a lot of direct interaction with the standards bodies. So we're bringing complete solutions to our handset OEM type of customers. So no, I think we're starting to see more and more where the component supplier is presenting solutions to the handset suppliers.
That really, I noticed that today in one of the meetings we were having with some people that used to come to us and present us with block diagrams and tell us the parts they want us to do. In the meeting today, we were up showing all the block diagrams and telling them how they were all going to work, and the roles have just changed, right?
Yeah,
we're taking more of the leadership in the overall architecture, I think.
Let's move on. I'm going to stick with you, Todd, if I could briefly, but we're both going to answer this one anyway. But let's look at 5G briefly. Huge amount of hype about it and a lot of discussion of whether 5G is really 5G. We'll put all that to one side, but there's a lot of talk and hype in the industry about it. What, as far as you are concerned, are the key aspects of 5G that differentiate it from 4G and LTE, and how is Qorvo engaged with the 5G effort? I know it's a long road to it, but...
From the technology side, we're seeing a big portion of 5G is going to be in the millimeter wave, and that's where we're starting to see a lot of interest in our gallium nitride portfolio, especially for the base station infrastructure. Yeah. We have some demonstration projects ongoing with some base station operators today. So we are shipping quite a bit of, I would say, prototypes into this new base station infrastructure for some of the millimeter wave frequencies. We also have some work ongoing. There's two phases. One's a higher frequency millimeter wave phase, above 6 gigahertz, and then we're starting some other work where it's below 6 gigahertz that I think you'll see in the market earlier, and that's going to be using a lot of our existing mobile technologies today. Not so much any new technologies, but a lot of the technologies that we already currently have in place. We might need to do some new filter designs, but nothing that we see is that should really delay the rollout of 5G.
So it's an evolutionary process as before?
Yes, very much.
Okay. Tell us your side of it.
Yeah, so what is 5G, right? That's a lot of what we're here to talk about this week. In fact, we announced this morning, we had a press release about joining 3GPP to help contribute to the definition of 5G. And I think we know a few things. I mean, the industry has set out a few milestones or benchmarks, what they'd like to do. Most people just think of it as more data, right? More data faster, getting to 10 gigabits and having 1,000 times more capacity in the networks. Those are great goals. They kind of further the reach of 4G. But there's two other things that 5G should enable. One is a low latency, high reliability communication. Things like autonomous driving, of course, really would require that and many other applications. But the other one is what's being termed massive machine type communications. And this is a very different type of RF connection for us. And it's very low power, it could be very low data in some cases. And it helps enable really tens of billions of nodes of Internet of Things sort of applications over the standardized 5G kind of global network. So as opposed to the short-range wireless solutions to IoT, this could be a global sort of solution. I know we're real excited about the opportunities there.
Right, I'm staying with you, Eric, because that was a good answer. Let's see if we can carry on with it. We're here at Mobile World Congress 2016 in Barcelona. What announcements are you making at the show? What's Qorvo bringing to the party?
So I mentioned already we joined 3GPP to work on 5G definition. Yep. And you won't be surprised by the product releases. They're very consistent with what we've talked about so far. So we're releasing new members of the families of RF Fusion and RF Flex that we've talked about before.
I remember them well.
In both cases are really helping to drive that complexity down in the handset. So integrating at a higher level, higher performance, new technologies. And we're announcing not only new products, but a lot of new design wins and production ramps to really show that Qorvo's on the map. We're gaining a lot of traction and helping solve a lot of customer problems.
What are you looking forward to seeing at this year's show?
Well, I'm out looking for 5G, the new applications, ideas, what 5G really is. I think the industry is still trying to define what 5G means to us, means to everybody that's going to use it. So I'm out trying to understand what it could be in the future.
Well, if you spend any time at the show this year, you hear two words, virtual reality, over and over and over. So I've been in conference rooms so far just talking to customers and hearing these stories. I'm looking forward to getting on the floor and actually seeing some demos.
Well, there's a submarine, there's a racetrack, there's lots and all sorts of things.
Is everybody wearing the goggles? Yeah, and yeah, that's good. It must be compelling because everybody's talking about it. Yes.
Well, gentlemen, I can't believe it's a year since we last did this. You've been as entertaining and informative as you were a year ago. So, Eric Creviston, thank you very much indeed. And of course, you too, Todd Gillenwater.
Thank you.
Thank you.